With Cinema 4D release 18 we have a great improvement of the viewport coming along, and it is called the Viewport Reflectance. And this effect can be activated in the viewport menu under Options and then go to Reflections. And what you can see now is we have a representation of reflection in real time in the viewport. And there's a second place where we can activate or deactivate that. It is the Attributes Manager's point mode, and then you go to View Settings and tab Enhanced OpenGL. And there you have the point Reflections. And in this point you can deactivate or activate the effect, of course, but you also can paste in or type in a path to an alternative panorama that is used for reflections. Why is that? Because viewport reflectance is not about objects reflecting themselves. It's about a correct representation of your reflectance layer setup. So if you go to your material here of the car paint, to the reflectance channel, then you see you have some reflectance layers going on here, and something is being reflected in these layers, and that is the default panorama of the material preview. We all know this material preview panorama. When we add some reflectance layers here, we see that it is that little guy, that default panorama that is used by default for reflectance, viewport reflectance. So I can change that, as I told you, under Attribute Manager mode, View Settings, and then you can use a different panorama or HDR or whatever to be shown in your reflections here. So to put it in a nutshell, if reflectance layers or reflectance parameters are active in your material, then viewport reflectance show the default panorama of the material preview as a reflection on an object until you change it or override it with this field here. So as I told you, the cool thing about the viewport reflectance is not that objects are reflecting each other. It's about a correct representation of your reflectance layer setup. Let's jump right in here and look what reflectance layer we have here. And as a base we have only a specular blend layer, and on top of that I added a ray traced reflection, a GGX model, and I will type in some more roughness here. Let's maybe 10%. And what we see is that also the representation of this reflectance layer in the editor gets a correct roughness. And that is quite cool, because now we get a feeling for our reflectance setup without rendering it in real time in the viewport. So that is a quite cool thing, I think. And let's activate the final reflectance layer here, the clear code, and it is a Beckman layer with 0% roughness, and I will just push it a bit more, maybe to 100%. And as you can see, also a perfectly sharp reflection is represented in the editor in a correct way, as it was with a rough reflection in the reflectance layer below. So you might ask now, okay, that effect is really cool, but how do I refine the resolution of it? Well, you go to the Materials Editor channel, and there you have two possibilities. Either you increase the resolution of the effect, maybe, let me get back in which layer I am. Yeah, let's stick with the clear code, back to editor. Okay, increase it, go to 512 maybe. Maybe do a, the refresh of the viewport has already taken place. Here we have now a better resoluted reflection preview. And of course, with samples you can refine or increase the precision of the calculation behind all that. So, once again, viewport reflectance is a great representation of your reflectance layer rocket science going on here in the reflectance channel.